Good evening. Today is August 3rd, 2020, and this is the 10th episode of New Paradigms. I'm your host, Sargis Sangari, the Republican nominee for the U.S. Congress in the 9th Congressional District of Illinois. My guest today is Ashley Ramos. Ashley studied at Kankakee Community College. She is a very civil-minded and active member of her community and serves on the board of the local football team. When the COVID virus hit our nation, she began sewing masks for the local retirement homes in her community and for the at-risk elderly and also immune-compromised persons. Inspired by her relatives and in-laws, with two of her cousins serving as police officers, an aunt and an uncle serving as federal agents, a sister serving in the Navy, and brother in the Air Force, and dismayed with the uptick in the violence on our streets and now the calls to defund the police, she decided to bring awareness to these issues and topics and to support the embattled police officers and their families through her community outreach funded by the backtheblueevents. She founded the organization, and the mission of the organization is to ensure that law enforcement, which has been unjustly vilified, has a voice and is needed advocate in these difficult times in our nation's history. And Ashley supports and tries to change the attitudes that are driving these misunderstandings. Ashley believes that through community outreach and also accountability of our government officials, we can begin to create the changes needed to unify the citizens with the law enforcement and to stop the violence that are now plaguing our communities and our streets. Ashley, it is a pleasure to have you here today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sargis. It's a pleasure to be here. You have been an amazing instructor for some of these things for me first starting out. So I appreciate all of your input in helping me get the word out about supporting our police officers. Like you said, this all started because I have a background, with family that's in law enforcement, and the catalyst of all that was seeing the riots and then watching these officers be injured at the Columbus statue. That was a huge turning point for me, and everything that I had been working towards and trying to learn to get this organization started. At that moment, I was like, no more. We can't wait. That we've got to do something now. And then we got to Grant Park.
We did get to Grant Park, and I know we have a video of the gathering that took place as the first event, really large-sized event in Illinois on the 25th of July. And we're going to start first by taking a look at the video, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the organization.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
Ambush on our law enforcement officers.
Said on the radio yesterday, we are not obligated to take aggravated batteries as part of a condition of employment and just stand there and do nothing about it. We are not obligated to take bricks to the head, fireworks to the face, or anything otherwise. But yet, all those officers destroyed the narrative that all the police do is shoot unarmed black men.
It's time for good people and godly people to stand up and take back America and stand up for what it stands for. Are we together in this?
Let's all turn around and give a round of applause to our police, because that's why we are all here.
We are one nation under God, and we have the opportunity here today to show that we can support our police officers.
Where we go one? Flags out! Flags out! All right. All right, everybody. My name is Jimmy Lee Tillman for the Martin Luther King Republicans. I'd like to thank y'all for having me out here. And
Hey, how's it going, guys? Chicago Police, we love you. God bless you. You're always in our prayers. That's the least we can do for you. That's what we'll do. My name is Lieutenant Colonel Sargis Sangari, U.S. Army, 20 years, retired, Special Operational Forces and Infantry. As you can see, Ashley, that's the lot of individuals were able to attend. Thank you for the invite. I had a pleasure speaking at the event. I know that the new president of the Chicago FOP, John Cantanzera, was there, and also you heard the Chicago celebrity voice of Mancow, who spoke at the event. Tell me a little bit about the event. What was the process of putting this thing together, and how did individuals respond to when you reached out to them?
The process of this was actually, I call it divine intervention. I started the Facebook page. I said, we've got to get this going now, while we were still working on, the legal aspects of starting it as a nonprofit. And I ended up meeting two amazing women. That would be Christine McGovern and Tina McVuke. And they had already been on their own mission to start an event to support the police officers. And they found mine and said, hey, we were going to do this at a later date. Can we bring our people in with yours? Can we collaborate? Because we want this to be big. And I said, yeah, absolutely. So we ended up collaborating, and now they're organizers for Back the Blue events. And we made this amazing event, and most of it we were able to get done within just days before the Grand Park event. And one of the proudest things that I am of this, at the very end, you hear the Star Spangled Banner. That was actually a Gold Star mom who was singing that, and I know that it meant a lot for her to be there to sing that, and have that support as well. While the mission of Back the Blue events is to support police officers and their family, there's an entire outer layer of that becomes encompassed, that's reaching out to the community, looking at the political aspects and holding, political governance accountable, and also there's the aspect of making sure that the first responders and other people who are affected, that they're part of this as well. There's so much, to having an organization like this, and I'm so excited to be able to share that. Much like I believe you have organizations that you're working with that detail to first responders as well, correct?
Yes, actually, that's correct. I'm a member of the Legion of St. Michael law enforcement community. Actually, I'm a national and international representative for them. And when you saw me in that video speaking, I was wearing what we call our cuts, our colors for the organization. Believe it or not, those colors have been everywhere. I have had them standing on stage on September 11 in Israel last year in commemoration with other law enforcement community members from throughout our country. For the recognition of September 11. If a lot of people don't know that I established the Near East Center for Strategic Engagement, which was a company that I established in commemoration of the 3,000 Americans that were murdered on our soil. They were not killed, they were murdered on our soil. And the first responders that are still losing their lives based on the medical issues that they're dealing with. The same organization as we've been able to show those colors in Korea and other nations where we have tried to link with our law enforcement communities or veterans. So this issue of what is affecting us as far as law enforcement is concerned is just not a local issue, it's a national issue. One thing that I'm trying to work on our end for a federal level is to try to take a look at a larger super PAC that is going to incorporate the 800,000 law enforcement members that are now serving, to ensure that every time a politician opens their mouth and talks about defunding the police or actually not doing what they should do, which is stand by the police or giving him orders that for them to execute that are really against the Constitution of the United States and against their oath, that we have to be able to have a backing for them. And your organizations at the grassroots levels and other organizations linking together, supporting these type of powerful PACs, I think is a way to go to the future as far as trying to ensure that the police actually have a voice. A lot of the unions that they have today are really focused on healthcare issues and basically the dollars on pensions that the police officers are receiving. But I think they need to have a political voice. And I think if anything has come out a positive out of what is happening on the ground is the fact that we're starting to see the emergence of these organizations like your organization specifically. I did want to know from your perspective, though, Ashley. You have family members that I mentioned in our introduction that are federal agents and also at the same time police officers. How are they looking at what is happening? What are some of the problems that they're having with the political discussions that are taking place today?
Well, there's definitely a lot of different perspective that goes into it. My cousins who are police officers for their community, they went into becoming police officers with the intent of wanting to do something to serve their community, to be part of something to keep people safe. You know, they had the best of intentions, and now it's to the point where they have to be careful when they're off duty. You know, they don't say, you know, I'm a police officer. It used to be before you wanted people to know, like, I'm here for you, whether I'm on duty or not. You know, I have your best interests at heart. And now they can't do that. And we'll tell all of, you know, our relatives, like, you know, you don't vocalize this because it's not how it used to be. You know, this isn't something that, you know, it's almost like you've taken the respectability away from it, and it breaks their hearts. And on a federal level, my relatives who are federal agents, for them, it's very frustrating because they've been working hand in hand with community police officers, you know, to help in the communities and take off much larger portions of crime that most people don't even know exists in their community, and they're being vilified as well. And it's like, if only people could understand, but that's not something that you can necessarily break down, you know, or that they're even given the opportunity to do. Military standpoint, my brother and sister are very upset. You know, my sister, she's been halfway across the world and could do nothing, and, you know, felt so very frustrated, you know, with that lack of vocalization or being able to defend. So it's been interesting.
No, I know it's difficult. I know your sister served in Southeast Asia, where we're actually battling the Chinese. They're trying to do globally against us. And we had a gathering where after the shootings that took place on the south side of Chicago, I know Tom McCullough, who was running in the 49th at the local level, who's going to be one of our future state senators here in the at the local level in Springfield. You know, I called him. I said we got to do something about the shootings that are taking place. He put Mark Curran on, who was also on stage. He's running for U.S. Senate, a Republican nominee for the U.S. Senate against Durbin. And we put a quick huddle together, called other individuals that are running for political office, reached across the aisle, asked some of the Democrats to join, and independents. They did not join the rally. I was asked to put a joint statement together, which I did. We signed it. You know, we went to the south side of Chicago. Remember, I was asked, why are you going to south side of Chicago? That's not in your district. None of those people in that district that you went to are going to vote for you. It has nothing to do about getting a vote and nothing to do about just worrying about your district. This is a national issue that we have to address. And the best way we can do it is to take all these great efforts that we have and try to focus them on one goal. And at the end, the goal is to be able to breach, as you had said in your mission statement, the trust between the civilians, and citizenry, and the police and law enforcement in this case, to try to have better policing in those communities. So it's a joint effort that we all have to participate in. And I know, as you know, just as of today, again, we had 9 more individuals shot. We are slowly increasing the delta, as we call it in the military, or the difference between the number of soldiers that were killed from 2001 to 2020 and 2003 to 2020 in both Afghanistan and Iraq. These are combined KIAs, military only, that 2 weeks ago was almost 800 plus difference that were killed here in Chicago between the same years. And now those numbers are increasing. And unfortunately, I think we're going to get before the end of this year to a point where we have had 1,000 more Chicago residents, Americans on our soils in peacetime, having been killed than the two combined wars together, as far as the numbers are concerned. And I know that you have, through your organization, reached out to a lot of the family members of the individuals who have lost their family members in these street violence.
Yes, I have, and it's unfortunate that you're right about those numbers, and it breaks my heart, especially because every life is precious, and the fact that this is not being addressed leads me to where I find the political responsibility, and that's where I never imagined when I started this organization just how much politics would take an effect as to how we could express change in bringing community and police together and making things better for everybody. But I do hold politicians responsible now that am becoming part of this web and trying to untangle it and make positive changes. The politicians and the policies that they're passing and the general tempo that they give to our officers, it does affect how the regular community sees these officers, and they're sending the wrong message. And that's going to affect the morale of the police officers. It's going to make it harder for them to do their job. And it's also going to make the average community more wary of them, and they shouldn't. You know, our police officers are there as peacekeepers for our benefit. They didn't take these jobs with the intention of purposely hurting anybody. I don't think that's ever anybody's intention. You know, that's a lot of weight to carry, you know, that kind of violence and the violence that they've had to experience against them. I could not imagine going home at night, you know, having had experienced that throughout the day, knowing I didn't have to put my badge on. I did it because I love my city, I love my community, and I want to be able to protect them. So that's a huge, huge part of this is I don't care if you're a Republican, Democrat, independent. To me, if that is irrelevant, you need to be taking care of your community. You need to be putting positive policies in for your community. And that's something that I definitely will express through this organization, as well as that we're here for the police and the community, and your political party is irrelevant. You just need to be doing your job.
Your organization, Ashley, I know that sometimes it takes paperwork, time to file them. You're a not-for-profit, but tell us a little bit more about it. Are you going to become a 501c3? Have you submitted your documents and paperwork for it yet? Where are you envisioning taking this organization?
Yes, we're processing as the 501c3, and if I had my choice, Sargis, I would become the Batman of the police support and community support. I want to be that person that anybody knows if there's an issue in the community, if there's police outreach, if somebody's family, you know, of a fallen police officer, or unfortunately in the case of the community where, you know, this young boy was taken too soon and his family, you know, they need that kind of support. I want to be that person that someone's sending up the bat signal and saying, Ashley, this is what's happening in our community. You know, this is where they might need help, so that I have the opportunity to reach them, you know, and help in whatever way we can. In an organization like this, there is no clear-cut way that every situation that you're going to be helping in. Sometimes it's going to be a rally. Sometimes it's going to be a walk. Sometimes it's going to be raising money to donate to families. And sometimes it's just going to simply be being there to pray, you know, and hear somebody's situation, you know, so that you can figure out what's going to be best for them. So I want to be that person. I want to be the non-for-profit Batman for for police support.
I have a feeling that you will be like as I mentioned in the opening introduction, that when the COVID hit, you started working on sewing masks for the elderly, and if you think about it, at that time, our police officers were themselves. They had no clue about this Chinese virus that hit our shores because they cannot maintain a simple PFO lab. The families of police officers not only executing your mission, you couldn't go home to see your families. Nobody knew what the effects were going to be. Nobody knew how much stress it was placed on those officers. And by the way, every time there's a body cam video that really somebody who's not a police officer is looking at, and they slice and take portions of those body cam videos, put it in the hands of the politicians, and it becomes just much more difficult for them. As you know, suicides are high and are up actually in the policing community. I know you guys have a event. We just lost a commander who recently took his own life after being promoted. Tell me a little bit about when is that event? Where is it going to happen? What are some of the things that you're hearing from your family members, especially when it comes to the pressures that are leading to these suicides in the policing community?
We are having an event on August 15th at the Freedom Square, which is across from the Homeland Square Police Department. That event is going to be, it will definitely have its somber moments because we will be acknowledging the life lost in their district. This event is something that I feel like a lot of officers are going to understand and feel the weight and the pressure that's been put upon them. Simply because, like I said, they're trying to do their jobs and their entire job is being dedicated to their communities. And there are organizations out there that want to make that harder. And again, I put a lot of responsibility to the politicians for not standing by our officers more and not being more realistic, especially when it comes to defunding. If you want to have that conversation about adjusting police and having reform, those things are not done by taking funds away. They're done by looking at what those officers have to deal with. How has their jobs changed over the past 50 years? What could we be doing to assist them, to make their jobs better? And if you want to do something like social workers, I feel like that's very unrealistic. Trying to send someone who's maybe dreamed of being a social worker that happens to be a 5'2" woman into a situation where there could be a 6'5" man who is being domestically abusive to his wife or his child, that's not safe. If you're going to do something like that, there should be some sort of collaboration done between police officers to keep those types of social workers safe, and also for those social workers to keep police accountable if that's what you're looking for. There are ways to do this that don't call for people being violent towards police officers or defunding them or taking away their morale, because they don't have to do the job that they're doing. They're doing it because they want to, because they have an affinity towards their community. So those are very important things to keep in mind, that pushing these guys down and trying to take away their dignity or make them feel like lesser. It's quite disappointing that any politician would stand behind something like that for their peacekeepers, people that they have no problem calling to their own homes to keep them safe, but are willing to take them off the streets of the places that really need them the most. I find that rather ironic.
No, it is, and as you were speaking, that was coverage by WGN Channel 9 here in Chicago that was actually covering the remarks that were made by the Chicago police superintendent on the loss of the commander's life. And I'm glad that you guys are actually holding a gathering at that station, and I look forward to being there and support. It is not easy. It's very difficult on our police officers in these crises. What happens, the politician comes in, the politician's job is to alleviate the pressures. Unfortunately, because they're more interested in about, winning political points to retain their seats, they continuously keep on pouring fuel on the fire. As I have said multiple in the past, when you have an environment that the senior police officers are now not only taking their own lives, but they are absolutely scared of the fact that all the years they have put into the department, that if they put their hands on anybody today, that they could be prosecuted or they could be fired, they could be written up. It gets you to a point where, as I had to face the rules of engagement in Iraq, when they would put unrealistic rules on you, and you wouldn't execute sometimes a dangerous mission that you should have been executing. As we recently saw that we had 3 police officers that were shot as they were bringing a perp in. Why? Because God forbid, if you actually, take off that perp's, top or bottom, pull it down to make sure that you find weapons on him. As we had been told in the military, you find one gun, look for the second one. You find the second one,
Right.
look
And
for the
when you
third one.
don't
The
do
same
that,
thing that is trained. Yeah, when you don't do
yes, and when
that,
you
guess
don't do
what? What
that, you end up
happens? You
like the
get
police
shot.
officers that just got shot. Yes, and one of them got shot through the
Yeah.
neck. I mean, that was, I'm sure he was absolutely terrified. But how did that happen? Well, because they were scared to pat this guy down, appropriately. Because if they do, then it's police brutality. There's no win in those situations, and I feel as though it's questionable as to the kind of restrictions that are being put on police officers. It almost makes you feel like there's a certain amount of pandering to the wrong ideals or the wrong organizations in that effect. But my organization, I want to be able to call attention to those kinds of things and hold government officials responsible for not standing by the promises that they were made, not only to police officers but to communities. These government officials, they come in and they say that they're going to make these changes and do these things, and then they feel, I don't know if they think people are just going to forget about them, or it's not an issue until something bad happens, so we're just going to do what we want until those points. That we can't do that anymore. That's not possible. And that's one of the things that I really love about your standpoint, that you're running for your Senate seat, and that you're willing to make those hard changes and say the things that people don't want to say. I think that there's a real loss of honesty with politicians as to what they're not saying what they mean, and that needs to end. Those kind of politicians, they need to get washed out. We need good people, and I feel like the Hughes and the Tom McCulloughs and the Mark Carans, you can make a difference. And I'm sure there's some Democrats out there too that, unfortunately I haven't gotten a chance to have this conversation with them, but I look forward to it. I'm reaching out to make that difference. And Back the Blue Events is going to continue to do that. And I have a fundraiser right now that I was telling you about, and I think you actually had that put up there for me. I've got a kind of a big goal, but it's enough that we're going to be able to do quite a few events before it gets too cold, because a lot of them we're trying to do outside due to COVID. But we're hoping to be able to get quite a few events done, and get some equipment together so that we can, do some assistance in other areas too. So I got big goals and I got big dreams, but I think that we're going to be able to make some really great changes along with that as well.
No, I think it would be wonderful. A lot of these organizations, and I hope we keep that QR open with Back to Blue Events. If you have your phone, if you're watching at home and you're not using your phone, you have it in your hand. All you have to do is aim your camera at that particular location. It will bring it up. You click on it as far as the QR, and it will take you directly to the page. So you could literally go to the page right now, as you see, and be able to donate. I know you have $610 that have been donated. I know that you have filed for a 501c3, but that takes some time as a process. For now, there's some support requirements are needed to be able to at least get the T-shirts out there, get the sound systems out there, be able to at least have a couple of microphones so people can have this discussion on the site. And I love the fact that you go to the site to do this. So I highly encourage our listeners, if they're watching, it is these type of organization needs funding and support. They cannot just work out of the blue. And taking organization like yours, putting it together with our Legion organization, which is Legion of St. Michael Law Enforcement, which is a 501c3. We do have the R 501c3, and linking it up with these type of packs that we're trying to put together. Now, the dollars cannot be mixed, and that's something that I always tell people. Talk about defunding the police. They have no clue how the U.S. code works. So they think they could take from one pot and put it in another pot, and it just doesn't work that way simply. But we could at least work together on a unified goal to move forward and be able to support each other to build the type of organization you're trying to put together, and support them so they could support the police, so the police can turn around and support us in the long run.
And I'll keep going. I'll keep doing it right now. It's out of pocket. But I will say one of the things that I really do, it's a message that I feel is very important, is that for the people who feel like they have to be silent right now about, wanting to support police or organizations like this, you don't have to be. You don't have to be afraid to say what you really think. We are not descended of fearful men. That you can you can have that voice, and that's part of our goal too, is to give the opportunity for people to come out and be able to give that support and feel like they're able to express themselves. Right now there seems to be a lot of dissent, or feeling like you'll be vilified for simply saying something as honorable as saying that you defend police officers. Well, we're not going to have that anymore. We're going to have a voice against that. And I know that you actually have some policies that you've discussed as well, when it comes to, once you get to Senate, that you said that you would have repercussions for such things. I believe we were talking about monuments.
No, look, well, House of Representatives, I need to make that correction, but
Sorry.
the difference is, okay, these things happen, but the difference is that I think one thing people don't understand is how the dollars work. Okay, we have right now, when you have individuals saying let's defund the police, you have a budget of $1.7 billion, not 1.7 million, but $1.7 billion that goes specifically on an annual basis for the Chicago Police Department. Okay, to execute their mission. If you look at the fire department, you're looking at $600+ million, $200 million for transportation, which is very vital, especially in my district. And that money will increase when I go into Congress, because infrastructure is very important for me. And that transportation hub, which is actually all those lines run directly through my district, are very important. And then you're looking at maybe $150 million combined when you're looking at healthcare and also libraries and other kind of community events. So people who say let's defund the police think that, well, I could go get that from that $1.7 billion. I'm going to apply it to healthcare and other places. U.S. code isn't written like that. It doesn't function that way. The problem is the politician doesn't want to tell you that, because the politician, if the politician tells you everything and gives you the pathway of how to solve the issue, it is very possible that the politician may not have a job in the future. The politician likes to continue pushing a certain narrative, and is unfortunate. They do so. They constantly keep on pouring fuel on this fire that is taking place. They tell the individual living in these vulnerable communities that the police is out there trying to get you all the time, which is inaccurate. If you take a look at the actual statistical categories, that's not true. The politician is the one who writes the laws that the police has to execute. If you don't want to have the police go in and arrest somebody in these vulnerable communities for drug offenses, for issues that are you think you could control at the local through community outreach, then you need to change the law. And if you don't change the law, the police officer can only execute it. So that's on you. So what he does is the politician puts in the mindset of the person in these communities that the cops against you. The senior police officers are now in their trenches because they realize that the government official will sell them out in a heartbeat for their political position rather than actually doing what is right, which is to stand by the police. The junior ones are coming in. The only thing that they get taught in the school system is that, and the job of the trainer is to make sure that they do not put themselves in a position of what happened when recently the police officer got shot because they did not completely do a full search, worried about a write-up probably against them, and they end up getting shot. So the trainer teaches the younger officers, your life is in jeopardy and you need to protect yourself. And there's individuals that young police officer coming in sees on TV is trying to kill him, trying to blind him with lasers, trying to shoot rockets at him, as they're doing in Portland. And these are some violent individuals and vile individuals. So when you put these two individuals in a fight or flight scenario, guess what's going to happen? The outcome's not going to be good. And I put that directly on the neck of the politician. But that's why I'm running, and we're hoping that once we get into the office, we can make some changes. I do have a video I'm going to go ahead and show you, Ashley, and then we'll close out our discussion. But when we got together, a number of our politicians, we went down and looked at some of the issues that are taking place on the south side of Chicago. And once we look at the video, I think the segment that they may have prepped or might be my portion only. But we'll come back and finish up our discussion as to what can we do to solve some of these minor issues that we have to address through your type of organizations.
847 more people have been killed in Chicago than in the 2 combined wars that my buddies fought in. My friends who laid their lives down in Iraq and in Afghanistan did not go to die there so that Americans can tear each other apart here. I highly recommend we start fixing this. And we got to arrest the individuals who are part of this domestic terrorism that wants to kill Americans, period. Folks, I want to thank the press for coming here. Without you, we won't be able to get our voice out. Again, the joint statement is signed. You can take pictures of it. We are going to have copies of the 9 signed one to you. Once we get it uploaded, you'll all get a copy of it. Thank you again. Much appreciated for coming. God bless you all. Again, I want to just do a final closeout. Unless there's other questions, that's fine. But go ahead.
Quickly, in 100 words or less, just your views on Antifa, Black Lives Matter, and similar groups.
Well, look, for me, I ran 4 structures for those Syrian Christians that were getting killed between 2014 and 2017. In 2015, when one of my commanders was killed by a socialist Kurdish group in Syria, Antifa was there with them training, flying their flag. So it's beyond my understanding why we do not recognize their ties to foreign powers and foreign governments. In this case, when the YPG Kurds were getting money from the Russians, how is it possible that Antifa will not be getting it? The fact that they killed one of my commanders on the ground who was just trying to ensure that Christianity survived in Syria and Iraq. Now, as far as the other groups are concerned, you can have your groups, but you have to have a cause that is beyond what you're trying to do, that there's going to be an outcome. The only people who are going to write your outcome, folks, I hate to tell you, if you don't want to believe it, are the folks in the legislature. They're the ones who write the laws. They're the ones who pass the bills. So if you're an organization in this case, and the only thing you've achieved is to have your name placed on a road, the same road that cars drive on with dirty tires, people spit out of their windows on, birds poop on it, you have individuals who throw their garbage on, and people walk all over with their dirty shoes, and at times you have homeless people who defecate on it and urinate on it. That is not success. So if somebody in your leadership told you that's victory, you need to fire them. Go find leaders who understand that the only way you're going to win is you got to get your folks into Congress, period. And not take your money from you under a cause, give it to the already incumbents who've been sitting there for 30 years, 40 years, some of them only 70 years, and think that that's victory. With that said, on my behalf, again, I will tell you, it's all our fault. We have to work together. Otherwise, it's all hot air. Democrats, Republicans doesn't mean nothing. We're Americans. If we can't work together, we're going to keep on destroying ourselves internally. So all of us are to blame. We all got to do a better job of working together, reaching across the aisle, and working together as Americans. We the people, folks. We the people. Keep that in mind. Thank you very much.
Oh, I
And
was trying to
actually,
be quiet, but at the end, I was like, yes.
you kind of saw we got to work together, read the people. So I love the fact that you're doing what you're doing, Ashley. Tell us a little bit more again, please, folks. These organizations that Ashley has set up, they need to be supported. Because if individuals like her are taking these steps to be able to move a dialogue discussion forward and help our police officers, and we don't support them, we don't stand by them, they're gonna die on the vine, and then it's our fault. We have nobody else to blame. It starts at the local level, we the people. And again, actually, tell me a little bit more about how people can go and support your organization. And also, let's go back and look at the dates that we need to support you at the gatherings that you have, and also finally your last thoughts as to what do you need from us, and what are your recommendations as far as the American people are concerned.
Well, as for the events, the next one is going to be on August 15th at 2 p.m. It will start, and then we'll have speakers, and we'll go as long as we need to, that people feel comfortable showing their support. As for funds, there's a GoFundMe that's connected to the Facebook page that we're using right now until the website gets up and running, and that's Back the Blue Events. So any help there would be amazing. It's all going to go for funding for these events, and for any charity. Anything that we have extra is going to go back to the communities, whether it's with police officers or community members. So anything like that, it would be amazing. Even if you just go and like the page, we'll have all kinds of great information there for you. And as for myself with this event, one of the things that really bothers me is there's other organizations out there that when something bad happens, they say, where is this organization? When does it really matter? Where is BLM? I thought my life matters. Well, I'm here to tell you that is not what this organization is about. We are going to be there no matter what the circumstance, no matter where the location. I don't care if it's Little Village or if it's Evanston or if it's Humboldt Park. Where it's needed, we will be. And I have no fear to say that. I hold myself accountable to my word, and I intend to make good on it.
Well, thank you, Ashley. Again, we're going to support your organization. Send us a flyer as soon as possible, and we'll share it. We'll try to get our folks out. Folks, organization like Ashley's, as you see, Back to Blue events need support. And also, same thing for us. If you want us to be in Congress, you want Colonel Sangari to be in Congress, you have to support us. For us, we need your support. We need your help. We need money, fundraising too. Same as Ashley's organization. Right now is a critical time. We're less than 100 days, and please donate if you can to our organization. If you cannot donate to our organization, donate to Ashley's organization because you're at the end of the day helping Americans. So for us, please go to www.votesangari.com, www.votesangari.com, and please donate the needed money for us to be able to get the yard signs out there to you, and also be able to promote our capabilities. Ashley, it's been wonderful. You get the last word. Anything else?
Just thank you again so much for having me on, Sargis. It's been an amazing experience, and I hope that people will go to the Back the Blue events page, come to the events, donate if you can. It's going to be an amazing experience, and I'm ready to bring these communities up with me. It's time to make that change.
Okay, young lady, God bless. Pass on the regards to your family and friends. And this is New Paradigms.
Thank you, sir.